Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond. To those of you who have not been here with us before, Beyond is a show where we talk about projects that we're working on, as well as community discussions. Sometimes we're talking about Friday the 13th. Sometimes we're talking about Layers of Fear 2. And today we'll be talking a little bit about Friday. But before we get to that, there is a missing member of our streaming team. Matt is out sick today. So in his place is the one and only Ish. Ish is one of our senior producers here at Gun and has worked on both titles, as well as tell a little bit about some of your background there, Mr. Ish, so people get to know awesome games that you've worked on in the past.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, before coming over to Gun, I worked for a long time at Volition, creator of Red Faction and Saints Row series.
Red Faction, yes.
Yeah, so first title I worked on was actually The Punisher at Volition. Since then, I worked on pretty much all the Saints Row games, a couple Red Faction, Guerrilla, and Armageddon, as well as Agents of Mayhem.
So you're an OG, like you've been around.
Yeah. 15 years in the industry, so.
It's awesome.
I'm old.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
It's experience.
That's right.
That's what you can call it.
And then down on the end, the shiftiest of samurais, Mr. Dan. Always. So yeah, today we're talking about Friday the 13th and the recent news that we are coming to the Switch.
Yeah.
Because I saw a whole lot of comments that came through right after that. I've got chat going over here beside me as well. Usually Matt is also going through chat things, so we're limited to what we can see over here. So sorry if we don't catch everything, but what we did do was Dan spent the time this morning and combed through Reddit, combed through Twitter and everywhere else where people were talking about this, and we parsed like the top maybe 10 or 15 or so questions that we continuously saw coming that people were asking about. We made these little fancy cards.
We have Beyond cards.
Look at that. Big deal. Thank you. And Mr. Rob Fox is the producer behind the scenes right now, controlling the cameras. So thank you, Mr. Fox, for that. You can see we have these fancy cards because we're a big deal. But we put all the questions and stuff that we were seeing pop up online. So we're going to go through all these first. So, and whenever we go through each one of these things, you can go ahead, Rob. You can throw to the ad because this is what everyone saw through that. And this was really cool. Just to give you a quick behind the scenes of this. So this is a friend of mine. His name is Lord Chaos. You can find him on YouTube as well as on Twitter. He's a cosplayer. He's got some of the most film accurate Jason cosplay I've ever seen. He is a super nice guy too. He streams occasionally on YouTube, plays a lot of horror stuff, talks about horror movies. Just a great guy. And we became friends with him a while back and have hung out with him at a few conventions as well. And so I contacted him to see if he wanted to do this crazy photo shoot idea that I had, because whenever we were discussing doing the Switch, I thought, what matters to a lot of players, I think, is being able to take the device on the go and be able to play when you want to. And it just popped in my head, this idea of Jason potentially being in a queue or like waiting for something, right? Like, oh, I'll just take this out and, whatever. Hence the double entendre of kill time. But then it kind of popped in my head of him being at maybe a bus stop, like he's waiting. So we sent out our graphic designer as well as a photographer, and they scouted out some locations for us until we found the right bus stop that was like, yeah, this is going to be awesome.
Like, shout out to Izzy. It was cold.
It was very cold.
Like, when they were doing that shoot, it was freezing.
No doubt.
Yeah. And she dealt with all that for us.
Yeah, and she apparently helped keep people out of frame that kept trying to, like, walk up and be like, oh, cool, it's Jason, as well as, like, some rent-a-cop guy or something came by and was like, you're not supposed to be here. And Izzy's like, it's fine. And, all this kind of stuff. So, it was a total, like, guerrilla shoot kind of deal, but it turned out really, really awesome. So, anyway, that was that. So, we're going to break into some of these topics real quick. Before I get in, I guess I'll say hey to a few folks in chat. Of course, Slashing Cast is here. Mad Eye Yokai, what's up? And Mad Eye, you haven't been around for our past few streams, so it's good to see you back here again. Shaman X-Off is in the house. I saw his tweet earlier about being excited about the Switch. I know he's a big Switch fan. Bicycle of Death is here. Paul Smash is here. Jinx is here, of course, always giving us the love and the support. Frequent Tromboning, aka I think Jennifer, over on our Discord. If you guys haven't checked us out on Discord or you haven't joined yet over on Discord, please do so.
We'll have the link thrown up in chat.
Yeah. I'm sure Moo will do it. There you go. There's our show for that, and then Galaxy Graves in the house as well. What's up, monkey balls? That was a good one. Still, I'm not gonna get caught on that one guy. He's probably gonna get in here, by the way. So anyway, let's jump into talking a little bit about what the questions that we saw come through, and give you guys some answers to those. So please just hold on to like questions you might have about the Switch until we answer everything that we've already kind of put together. And then if we miss something, please ask then. So yeah. I guess the biggest question that's going to come up here that we saw, at least I saw, was some derivative of how can you do this, like put this on the Switch, but you can't put new stuff in the game, right? Like we saw that a lot of times, and that can be confusing if you're either not familiar with how a port works versus like putting content into a game. But to break that down and give you some examples of how that works is, it's the same game that already previously existed, right? Before the lawsuit said stop, right? It's all that content that was already there. So we're not adding anything new to the game. We just take the exact same game and port it over to the Nintendo Switch. I explained it to one person similar to like how a film can be distributed on a DVD, and then a few years later they can do it again on Blu-ray, right? It's just a new medium. So that's what that basically means is, yes, we were allowed to make the game available on as many platforms as we technically can do. And we weren't even sure about it when we first started discussing it. Like, can we even put this thing on the Switch? Like, will it even work on the Switch, right? Yeah. I mean, you and I sat down forever trying to figure out, like, what's going to have to happen, like, to make this thing run properly. Because
yeah, I mean, we were really scared about if there were going to have to make too many compromises or anything like that. That would make the game not exactly the experience we wanted for people. But
exactly.
Fortunately, Unreal got there.
Yeah.
And Black Tower had previously helped. They'd actually worked with Ilphonic on some of the Unreal Engine upgrades we'd already done, so they were super familiar with all that part.
Oh yeah. Next question that we saw come up, is there going to be any additional or new DLC available on the Switch version of the game? No. Due to the lawsuit, no. There's still nothing else we can add that's new to the game. Will Savini, Jason, or other backer exclusives be available? The answer to that is no. Whenever someone backed at the tier that got them the content, they chose the platform in which they would receive the content on. So buying the game on a new platform does not mean that the stuff that you bought previously, it doesn't work that way. So no. Will there be a physical copy of the game / like retail copy? Yes, we will definitely have the game available in retail stores that normally carry video games around the world. It'll be available there. That'll be day and date. So the date that the game is available, both digitally and physically, exact same time. And that's through our partners over at Nighthawk who worked with us in the past. Next question that we saw a lot of, are there going to be multiple versions offered of that SKU? So of the Nintendo Switch version, is there multiple versions of it? No. What we're offering is the slasher, Ultimate Slasher or Ultimate Slasher Switch Edition. Everything that was in the the Slasher Edition that came out maybe 5 or 6 months ago, whenever that was.
Except the poster.
But no poster in that one.
Trying to, like, we learned that people weren't really happy with the posters.
Well, it got folded up. Yeah.
And the Switch cases are
even smaller.
They're even smaller, so those things would just
I mean, it would be like fold, right?
Yeah, they'd be destroyed. And then the cartridge, the way it sits, would just be all scratched up.
Yeah,
so
not ideal.
So instead we have the Ultimate Slasher Switch Edition.
Not ideal. Seeing some questions that pop up in chat, just hang tight. I guarantee we've got all these things already on our little cards here that we're going to answer. And if I don't, then after you can ask for sure. Next up, will the game be available at retail worldwide? Yes, like I mentioned, retail stores that you normally find video games, that's where you'll find us for sure. When will this become available? Late spring is our target window. We don't have a date yet just because of the fact that lining all those things up with the store with both Nintendo as well as retail outlets around the world. It's really difficult at this point for us to say we know exactly this date. Just stay tuned to Twitter and our Discord and Facebook and everywhere else that you can find us. And as we have that firmed up, we'll be releasing that information, as well as some gameplay footage and some things like that. So you guys can check that out too. Question: will the game be online only? Yeah. So, Ish, you might want to chime in on some of this and maybe help a little bit with explaining some of this, because it's a little bit of a wordy response, but maybe you can
I'm the
help.
one that wrote it, so I'm a
Well, then maybe you can help.
So obviously the online modes are going to be online only, but the thing
Right.
is, one of the difficulties right now with the current versions of Friday the 13th is when you're playing offline, a lot of your customization options, progression, the things you've unlocked, they're unavailable to you because we have no concept of local saves for the other platforms we're on. So what we're doing is we're trying to find a solution that strikes a balance between the ability to bring over all those options you've unlocked so that you can bring them over into, single player challenges, offline bots and everything like that. So that means local save to some degree, but also having security when online. Black Tower's working on a solution for that. They've got a proposal to us. We like it. We think we're going to go for it. And I think that'll just enhance offline play for the other platforms. So it'll be available for the Switch, and then we're going to backport it to the other platforms as well, so that everyone just gets the benefit of being able to use all of their JSONs, use all of their skins, use all of that whenever they're playing in an offline mode.
So the short answer to that is probably.
Yeah.
It's looking good.
Yeah, I mean, we know with the Switch, it's a very portable platform, obviously, and people are going to want to carry this thing around and play challenges, while on the bus or something like that, as you said. And so we want to make sure that people are able to, I guess, not just be locked into the few things that are there when you're offline, but have all their stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I remember when we first started talking about Switch, that was one of the larger concerns that I had for it was, we already have people on the other consoles who are like, when I go to play offline, I have 2 Jasons that I can play as, or I have 1 counselor that I could do things as. So I know Ish worked with Black Tower for a while.
Well, no, my first response to you was no. As a producer, it always is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then I said that's not an answer.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an answer.
So then,
it didn't work.
Then on the slide, I talked to Black Tower, figured something out, then came to Dan, was like, surprise.
I was really excited.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So the next question, which kind of plays a little bit into that, is will you support local multiplayer? The short answer to that is not quite at launch. We're not going to have that. We're not going to have that service. Does that mean that it could potentially come in the future? Maybe. It's really looking at, well, first it's taking the game that's out there right now on console and PC and making sure that it runs flawlessly on the Switch. Like, that's step one. Step two is watch after people have it and they're playing it. Are people playing it on the go more? Are they playing it docked at home more? Are they wanting to is there like a lot of people saying like, man, we want to have LAN parties with this? Because it does, the game kind of changes when you're all around other people with Switches and you're all playing the same match together right beside each other. It does change up the game a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It like adds a different element to it that isn't present on other platforms. So if we're seeing that and the demand is there, like, yeah, we should definitely look into making that happen. And it makes sense on the other platforms as well later.
Yeah.
That if there, there comes the time when any game has to, hang up the hat and say that's it.
Yeah.
That if you have that tool set that the audience gets to use later, then kind of the game never dies, right? Like,
Well, even if like Xbox Live or PSN changes their infrastructure and the consoles that Friday the 13th is no longer, or it's available on, even if they change to where that game can no longer connect, the LAN mode will allow people to continue playing for
that's true,
as long as their hardware holds up.
So
yeah, I mean, we've got obviously LAN mode that functions in a development environment. That's how we test it. But the thing is, there's all these again security issu's with that, just because all that network traffic then is just confined to a local network. But we're working on the local save thing. So obviously there's some aspects of this that we're already working on that tie into it. So yeah, like Wes said, I'm never going to say never.
Right. So yeah, not at launch, but we want to see you guys playing it, get feedback on that, and see how that can benefit all platforms.
It is so awesome when you're just playing all together in one room. Too.
It is, yeah. Will it be cross-platform? So currently, right now, we don't have any plans for cross-platform play. Some of that is the way that the game was originally created. The back end of that is was set up with sort of one style in mind, and at the time that we were building this game, cross-play was not a discussion. That the powers that be of in the console world, that was not a discussion that people were trying to have, at least productively. So the back end was sort of built without being able to support that.
Yeah.
So it'd be a pretty big undertaking
Yeah.
to make that work. Does that mean we're never going to do it? No. But I don't want to make you a promise that, like, yeah, we're going to do this, and then, we find out that, oh my gosh, like this is over a year's worth of work.
Yeah.
And it could spin into that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a thing that's kind of in our, bullet list of stuff that we're like, man, we really need to kick this around and see, can we even do it, right? And I know that the early first glimpse at it was real ugly.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I think I don't discredit that it's a valuable thing to have for sure, especially now that we're even going to another platform. Like, be cool to do that.
There's a question I want to address now instead of coming back to it
Sure.
later. I thought crossplay was just flipping a switch. That's actually the exact same thing that I said.
Yeah.
And Ish let me know how very, very wrong that I was. Mm-hmm. It's flipping a switch if you have built all of the back-end systems to work that way.
Right.
Which, when Friday the 13th was made, they weren't built that way because crossplay wasn't. It wasn't even like a dream on the table then.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'm surprised that this question came up, but here it is. Are we planning any amiibos? No. That is considered a new product or asset or content with under the Friday the 13th umbrella that due to the ongoing legal stuff, we cannot do that. So sorry to those that wanted something like that. Here's a good one that Ish you might be able to tackle. Yeah. How will voice chat work? So obviously in the other versions of Friday the 13th, we have a VoIP system where people can use microphones and it's proximity based and et cetera, et cetera. How is this going to function?
Well, I mean, that was one of the key things, right? When we first started discussion about doing the switch port, you and Ronnie were immediately like, well, I mean, we want the proximity voice to work because that's part of the atmosphere, right? The tone and the feeling of the game. So that was one of the requirements that we laid out to Black Tower when doing the port. And so we started poking around for some solutions, and there's not a lot of them on the Switch. But then suddenly Fortnite comes out, and they've got basically the system we want. So, we talked to a few people, and we found out, oh, hey, here's the middleware provider that Fortnite's working with. So we went and talked to them, and they said, yeah, I think we can get that to work for you guys. So we're working with that same middleware provider. Right now, I mean, we're still in development, obviously, on this port, so I don't want to make any promises. But the intent right now is that we'll have the same solution on Switch that we have on the other platforms. It'll work the same for the users, and we'll be able to preserve that proximity-based voice.
Excellent. That is great news. Here's the next question. Will it have no, we already answered that. Single-player challenges. Will there be single-player challenges? Obviously, yes. All the content that isn't backer-exclusive content that's in the current version of the game, those will be available as well in the Switch version of the game.
It's everything except for Savini Jason.
Yeah.
And the backer exclusive clothing pack. Everything else is going to be
correct
in the Switch version.
Exactly. So therefore, this final question, or this one other additional question, is there a difference between this version and other released versions? The quick answer is no. What performance, resolution, and FPS are we expecting? Yep. So
It just sounded like you're gonna be like,
I'm only laughing because
question.
we spent so much time on this part. Like when we were working on this port, is because that, like, my two concerns were how do we do voice? Like that was number one, and number two was is this thing going to look like a turd?
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry.
So that was the line item in the contract was can't look like a turd.
Can't look like turd.
Usually people say like the graphical fidelity is less.
I know.
Wes is like, I didn't want to look like a big old turd.
Well, I did. So yeah, I was concerned about it. And when we, like the first time that we got anything that actually you could boot it on the Switch, I was like, oh, it was struggling. It was struggling.
There's some turdliness, you know.
Yeah, there was. That's good. But man, like each time we got a new build, it kept getting better and better and better and better. So yeah, we're targeting a similar experience that you have on other console, having that same experience on the Switch.
Man, we basically what happened was we listed out like every asset in the game, right? And it was this huge fucking list. And poor Ben, I just went to him and I'm like, all right, man, here's you got to prioritize this. So that when they're like, if they have to make any adjustments to anything on the Switch, you tell them what's most important. So Ben went through this huge list of assets, and like Black Tower has been great because I mean, like, to be honest, their improvements and the efficiency gains they've made, they're so targeted that, like, yeah, when you're just looking at the game, it looks great. It looks like the other versions, and it's running really well. And I think people are going to be super surprised and pleased.
Excellent.
I mean, we're gonna have gameplay footage. Not today, but we'll definitely have it before launch. People will be able to see what the game looks like.
Yeah.
We want to make sure you're not getting turdliness, I guess.
There you go. There you go. So another question here that came up is account merging. Are you able to merge accounts? Meaning, if you've already owned the game, potentially on like a PlayStation or something, and you've been playing there, and then you go buy the Switch version, does your account like sync up to that? Short answer.
Yeah, we don't have a system built to, pull all of your user information and then tie it to like a user ID and then push that back out to every other platform. So no, if you play on PC, like PS4, Switch, and Xbox, you're going to have 4 different states for your gameplay. Each platform is going to be different.
There you go. And the last question that we saw pop up was, are there Switch-specific features? Is there anything about the Switch version of the game that might be slightly different, be it from a UI or like, are we using any of the things that the Switch does for this title? And we didn't want to go to, I don't know, some of the things feel a little hokey, some of the Switch features, and I felt like that didn't really match. Like, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, we didn't want to add touchscreen features just to add touchscreen.
Just to add them. They're in there for when it makes the most sense.
Yep.
Like perks, for example, and like choosing a perk, it made more sense to touch the screen.
Yeah,
right?
like navigating menus to some degree.
Exactly.
Things like that where it totally makes sense. You basically have a pointer or just a selector. For gameplay.
Yeah, like Jason grabs you. It doesn't make sense to like do this with your Switch to like break out. Like that just feels, I don't know. It just feels like you kind of phoned it in a little bit. Like there was a bullet list of like, what can the Switch do? Okay, then let's do these things. Like it just seemed kind of hokey to me. So we just kind of kept it, somewhat basic that the places that it made sense to do it, and that was that. So, but that was pretty much it. There was a little bit about like feature parity, meaning like if, like I know that one of the recent updates to Friday was on the main console and PC was a change to Jason's Rage, for example. Like, will that be at the Switch? Yes, of course that'll be on the Switch. So as we're in parity, meaning like as when it's time to do an update, do all consoles and PC get everything at the same time, and that's definitely our goal. The first one might be behind a bit if there is a patch that happens just before launch, but I'm not sure where we land in like update land. So it'll come out in the wash and be fine.
Yeah, I mean, leading up to Switch launch, obviously, at some point we stop working on it so that we can copy it onto the little cartridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Send it to stores, but then at that point, what we do is we have a baseline at least, and then we just quickly catch up so that everyone is all at the same level.
Right. And I think there was also someone asked if you need what's the Nintendo account or online Nintendo thing
I think
called?
it's just called Nintendo Online.
It's just called Nintendo Online. Do you need that to play this game? Obviously, yes. It's a multiplayer game, so yeah, you will need that service. So Cool. So those were the frequently asked questions that we saw pop up in the community. And curious now, I'm gonna turn it over for some Q&A. Curious what you guys, if you have additional questions. I'm gonna be kind of looking over here at chat. So there may be some weirdness here as I'm trying to like comb through some questions, but right now would be the time to ask those. For me to scroll back up and try to catch a question that happened earlier. Sorry, I won't be able to get to it. So just let me know. Question: are you guys targeting 30 frames per second?
Like I said, for us, our bar is, we go and look at the other platforms, how they're performing, how they look, how they feel when you're playing. Because, I mean, frame counter is one thing, but really it's about the feel, right? Is the game responsive? Does it feel good to play? Is it doing what I want when I want it to do it? And that's kind of our metric for it is, obviously everyone here at Gun is pretty experienced and used to playing Friday, and so we know in our bones how it feels to play that game. And so when we've been playing even just the in-flight versions that we've been getting from our development partner, they already feel pretty good. You know, I mean, we were able to have games here at the office, and everything felt pretty good. So and it's just going to get better from there.
Could F-13 run on an Apple TV? Like.
No. Like, I'm just going to say no. Like a little Apple TV box?
Yeah, no.
No.
Yeah, I'm going to say no on that one, too. Not going to happen.
Well, what do they consider run? Because we could probably get like 2 seconds per frame.
It would be cool if Jason was added to Super Smash Bros. It's Charmin. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool, but that's obviously not our purview. We don't control the license, so if it showed up there, that wouldn't be us. That's for sure. Let's see. Do we report bugs for the Switch version the same? Yeah, same. Jason, JasonKillsBugs.com.
Yeah, just make sure that you make sure that you tell people. That
yeah, it should be.
Version.
I think there's a drop down.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just have to add.
We just update the drop down to add the new platform, so you just be able to select I'm playing Switch, and then here's the problem that I'm having. So, what was the most difficult challenge to overcome when bringing Friday 13th to the Switch? It's a good question, and you're maybe a little closer to some of the stuff that you saw. I know just early on, things that I saw was if there's a lot of chaos that's happening in one scene. So like Jason kills 4 or 5 people all in the same scene, someone's shooting a shotgun, a car goes tearing by while someone's shooting fireworks off. Like if all that happens in the first, like in that same shot as you're looking, it chugged a little bit, right? Like we saw a dip in frame. That was earlier builds. So I don't know where we're going to get to. You're always going to find those outlier moments that like it might make it stutter for a second. But I think the VoIP was a big piece of that puzzle that we were like, that was the most painful thing. Like we don't know how to solve this until.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, obviously performance was at the top of our minds with it, especially because we knew the Unreal Engine had only recently been ported to Switch, at least at the versions that we needed. So we were well concerned about that, but our development partner, Black Tower, they were able to nail it pretty quick and reassure us that they would get there, and we believed in them. And now, we've seen proof of that. Voice was the big unknown for us, right? Like that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the one where we were just like, I mean, if it doesn't happen, it's not happening.
Because the default way to do it is not intuitive.
Yeah, I mean, we had so many discussions about like, are we going to be on that app, and are we going to do this, or are we going to do that? So we were happy to find that middleware provider. And then I'd say the next one is just for private matches, to be honest. Like that sounds like a weird one, but I mean, the way Switch works with its friend codes and everything like that, it's different than the other platforms. But again, we've gotten to a place with private matches and syncing up with your friends that we feel is pretty identical to what you see on the other platforms, and it'll work the way people expect it
to. Jinx, no, the Friday 13th will not run on a Game Boy Color. Let's see. That's please. Can you give us an option to skip cutscenes and challenges?
I've heard this before.
Yeah, I know. No, because of the way that the AI got scripted in the game, it throws off the timing of AI if we allow to skip. In hindsight, that should have been built a different way. But that's what we have, and to go back and change that is it's a massive change to do that.
It would essentially mean
rewriting
from scratch every single challenge, and I mean that would be a significant investment of time.
Indeed. Will there be future DLC for Friday 13th like Uber Jason? No. Will there be giveaways on Twitter leading up to Switch release? Yes, there will be. Just stay tuned for that. For what will those things be and etc. How do you enter for it? All that kind of stuff. The guy in the middle is the guy on the left's dad. So, like, looking from that side, there. Oh,
wow.
Oh, that's good.
Don't hug me. Don't
good.
do it.
Will current retro Jason be replaced by the original NES sprite Jason?
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. But
It would be amazing, but we're not allowed to do it. We're not allowed to do it.
We are. What is it exactly? 30 years.
It is.
Give or take a few months.
It is.
Yeah.
Since Jason was
On
on
it.
Switch or on Nintendo in
Yep.
his own game.
Yep.
Yep. Is adding new content to the game completely out of the picture? At this, yes, it is completely out of the
You
picture.
said you weren't going to do that.
I know.
People getting on the roof still. Yeah, we're aware. We're still fixing those. It seems like we squashed one way to do it, and people find an alternative way to do it. But we're continuing to kill those as quick as we possibly can. Is there any chance of adding hardcore mode, getting us the ability to turn off mini maps, item indicators, turn off Jason music? Would that be considered new content, or could it pass as giving the player base the ability to turn things off that already exist? That would not be considered new content because it's the same stuff that's already in the game, just giving people knobs and whatnot. It's a discussion that we've had, but we're still pretty head down on, fix the stuff that is currently problems, the roof glitches, etc. And then we got the Switch port, trying to get that launched as well. But I have my own sort of internal wish list of things that, since we can't add content, there are still things that I do want to do to the game. There's some perk rework that I know that Dan has been working on as well. So there's just a kind of a list of stuff here internally that we're like, we know we want to get these things done. So let's find out how long does it take, and is it even possible to do some of this stuff? Because I know we run into a couple of hurdles where we think, oh, this sounds pretty great, and then we get into the back end of it and we're like, oh no, it's not.
Yeah.
Like this is.
Yeah, generally Dan and Wes will come to me and they'll have like a list of 10 things, and I'll just immediately be like, psh, 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 you get 2 of these.
Dude, I come to you with a list of one thing, and you're like,
Yeah, that's true.
maybe not.
That's because it's you, though.
Can Friday 13th run on my Samsung smart fridge? Yes.
Absolutely.
Why would you say that?
100%.
That shit's gonna be clipped,
No.
and people are gonna be like, it won't run.
No.
Coming in 2034, right?
Are you guys ever going to do a VR version of Friday? It was a discussion a while back about VR, and we can't do it now because there would be so much things that would have to be changed that would then be considered new, because you have to dramatically change some stuff to make VR work properly. If you just took the base game as it is right now and then tried to just tack on VR, it's not going to be good. Yeah. So the things we'd have to adjust would be considered new. So, sorry. Yep. I'm going through I know this is just troll questions, like.
Favorite piece of F13 merch? Friday the 13th, the game.
That's your favorite merch?
What am I supposed to say?
You're hoping Wes is going to slip you like $100 bill.
I know
So,
this isn't going to slip $100 bill.
Matt Yokai says, company question. With the focus on Layers Fear 2 and Friday 13th, does this mean Gun Media is primarily a horror game publishing company? Or are you guys involved with other projects or genres yet to be revealed? Our primary focus is horror. That's not to say that if we didn't see something that was just, totally blew our minds, that we would just say, no, we only do horror stuff. We're not interested in that. But it is kind of the wheelhouse that we're in for games.
The latest company branding stuff that we've put out, like Beyond and Tales from the Stream. And then like everybody at Gun has been zombified by
we have
One Pixel Studio.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, the way we're leaning. We're all fans of horror. Some of us are fans of comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Others think they're dumb.
It just makes sense to, I guess stick to what you really understand it and the things that you're really passionate about. Because if you're just making things that like, hey, I think that'll make money, It's like, I don't know. Not to me, it's not fun to me to just, I don't get out of bed every day to just be like, okay, how can I make money? Like, that's not a motivator. Like, I like making cool shit that I am passionate about.
Yeah,
because when you're making games, good Lord, you get to that point where you're like, I just want to steer my car into oncoming traffic, right? Like, like this thing is mind-numbingly killing me.
Yeah.
But when you're passionate about the subject matter, right, and you really, really love, you know, whatever it is that you're touching, then they get you through those times when you're like, you know.
Yeah.
For sure. Is there any update on car glitches? Ish, do you know anything about car glitches?
I mean, it's on the list, and it's one of the higher priority items. So the thing is, we get bug reports, and we get people on social media giving us videos and trying to help us out with what's going on. And so what'll happen, though, is sometimes there's not a lot of context surrounding those.
Yeah.
Mel, our amazing customer service,
Who's in chat right now, helping
okay.
out? Yep.
She will like put together like a sheet for a single item and be like, here's every reference I found to it, every video, as much information as possible. And then we turn that over to Ben, and he talks about it with our test group. And then they basically try and figure out all the actual ways you can get things to happen. Because, like, you don't want to just look at a bug and think, okay, I'm going to fix that one specific instance of it. Because a lot of times there's, like, a root cause, right? And that's actually what you want to do is you don't want to fix just a symptom. You want to fix, like, the actual problem. And so we have to turn it over to them. They have to test it 6 ways from Sunday. And then we can finally kick it over to Black Tower. And then at that point, they may get it and go, okay, this is really complicated. Or they may be like, oh, all right, we're going to fix this and it'll be in the next patch. So, you know, we'll get some things and we'll be like, this is super high priority, but it still won't be in the next patch because maybe it's also super highly complicated, you know? So we're trying to fix them. Everything you guys send us, every time you guys report stuff, every time you people post up videos about this stuff, it's helpful, and it just helps us get to these issues, and we're trying to get them all fixed as quickly as possible. Just means some of them are going to take longer than others.
Yes. So when you submit things to us, it helps tremendously to, if you got a Twitch clip or something or YouTube video, and you know, here's exactly where this thing went wrong. And if it's a few minutes before when the bug occurred, that's even better.
Oh, yeah.
Because we get to see like the events that led up to the bug.
Yeah.
So if you just think about that, if you're able to submit information, what doesn't help is when you just say, what's going, you know, fix the car glitch.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, okay, what's going on with the car?
And like a video of the car going nuts is less helpful than a video of like, here's like 5 minutes of the match and then the car glitched out.
Correct. Yeah. So seeing the steps that led to it is how we fix the problems. Because just seeing the problem, we don't know how to fix it when you just show us the effect of it. We need to see the whole process. So that helps. Some more stuff just about, you know, roof glitches and things that we're definitely aware of. So I'm scrolling back down again because I kind of got behind.
Nope. That's just a random no.
Rob is asking us questions, our producer behind the scenes. So no, Rob, we tried to open that up, but it didn't work for us. What price point are you aiming at for the Switch release? Actually, no, I don't even know. Do you know?
No, I have no idea.
Aren't we targeting the same price as the Ultimate Slasher Edition?
Yeah, but I mean, at the point when that comes out, like, I don't know what the other. Yeah, $20, $30, somewhere in there.
I mean,
I'll tell you what, when we debut video, we've price.
But there's been a price drop.
Wasn't a price drop on the regular version?
Oh, that's right, it was.
From 40 to 20.
It was.
Slasher is 40 and includes all of the stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
We are, in fact, publishers of this game.
We are. We know exactly. Yeah,
we know what's happening.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Setting the prices. The problem that I'm looking at is the different versions of the game on different platforms. What's the price point of those, and making sure that everything seems like a fair price for whenever the thing becomes available, right? And what all content is available for them when they get it, so that if you bought the vanilla version on PC, for example, what's the price point of that versus if you buy it on the Switch? It has everything already there, all that content there. So the swimsuit packs and all that stuff. So it's gonna be in that neighborhood, $30 or so, something like that.
It won't be $59.99.
No, sir.
You go.
And if it is, I'm gonna be so upset with us.
It will not. It definitely not be that. No, not at all. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of some of the similar questions that were either answered earlier or, I mean, you guys are just like discussing between yourselves, which is cool. But we probably need to start wrapping up the video here in the next few minutes. So if you have any additional questions that you want to ask, and that can be about what we've already discussed. If you have a question about the Switch that we didn't answer, or just Friday 13th as a whole, feel free to go ahead and ask those as we're wrapping up here. Koosh, I'm not familiar with your question. If you would give me some more detail, that would help tremendously. So yeah, I know. I'm trying to read through. This is what Matt is always really good at because
Matt, we miss you.
Matt has already read through
soon,
and
friend.
like queued up like 6 questions already.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion for the game. How about when Tommy is the one calling the police, the time it takes the police to arrive should take a minute or so longer, since the police never believe / don't like Tommy. It's funny.
I love that suggestion.
It's funny. It's funny. Yeah, because that is how it works. I mean, Jason's here, and they're like, whatever, kid,
We're going to put you in jail now because
Right.
you're doing it.
Right. So how would that work? So if Tommy is the one that makes the call, that's what you're suggesting? It's funny.
Instead of like 3, it's 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's funny. And it's like because like it says that when you open up the menu, you're like, why is it taking so long? Oh, because Tommy called. Like, they never believe Tommy. It's funny. That's pretty
Calling
clever.
the cops, don't have Jarvis do it.
Right. That's pretty clever. I like it. I'm not saying no to that. It's interesting.
Damn it, that's one more thing on the list.
No, it's not. I didn't. No.
It's going on the list.
I just didn't flat out say no to it. It's funny. It's clever. Let's see. I've already answered that question.
If Tommy calls the police shoot Tommy. That's dark.
Yeah, that's
Holy crap,
That
man.
is really dark. That is really dark. Any ideas on making another horror franchise game, something like Hellraiser, maybe Halloween? We're always looking for what we're going to be doing next. We like working with licensed IP, and I would love to continue working on those things. But it's an ongoing discussion that we have with quote unquote Hollywood to see what we can work on, where we work on next. So. How do you guys reproduce latency issues internally? Well, I know there's settings within, I don't know if it's within Unreal or where, but you can crank up what would be like a significant packet loss, and then see like the effect of that, like how bad.
You can do it in engine.
Yeah.
The console providers, console makers, first parties, they also have tools that you can do
There
it
you
with.
go.
You can also actually buy specialized hardware and do it if you have a specialized internal network. And I know when I was in test, sometimes we literally just like reached over and started futzing with the network cord.
Really?
Yeah, we'd
plug it
pull it and, we do all sorts of crazy stuff. So I mean, there's
Wow.
a lot of different ways to do it.
Wow.
Some more technical than others.
That's funny. You guys, come on, seriously. They're like, oh, when he
You
said
winked, Wes.
he winked. I saw a wink. Wink West confirmed.
It's like,
There was no wink. Have you guys done a Freddy versus Jason reference in the game yet? Freddy versus Jason reference. I mean, it would have had to have been, put in before all the lawsuit stuff. I'm trying to think if we have a reference to it. I mean, the first thing off the top of my head was when we were working with Tom on Savini Jason. He has the scratch marks across his mask, and that was from being pulled into hell by Freddy. So the scratches you see on Savini mask was from what that was from. But as for like assets or things that are in there, I'm trying to think if there was something in the virtual cabin that was maybe I can't remember. Sorry, it was a while back when all that stuff was put in. Wink, wink. Project confirmed. There was no wink. God, you ever think about making the car just run out of gas so people don't just drive around the car for days? I have not thought of that. I don't know what that really adds to it unless I don't know. Like,
I don't even know
is
how you
that
could
is that a
communicate that well to
I
a
mean, is that a
player.
problem that people are getting in cars and just driving around the matches?
I mean, we have.
I've seen it in some streams, but I didn't think it was like, here's what everybody does now.
I mean, we have some. There, there are some people that don't play the game exactly how we would like them to.
Well, yeah.
So they will, they'll get a car that's working great, and then they'll just drive around for like 20 minutes and run over as many people as they can, block people into houses.
I just feel like people would then troll that and like start a car and drive it around till it ran out of gas, and then leave it in the woods somewhere with no gas in it.
Or they'd block somebody in a house.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some ways to keep that from happening.
Yeah, I think we did. We fixed those.
We did, but I can see people trolling that mechanic where they're like, I just fix cars and drive them around till they run out of gas so that no one can use the cars.
It's
Like,
the thing, like with a multiplayer game, right? It's like every time you consider like any tiny little tweak to like solve some issue with what a player base is doing, you just look at like the ripple effect of that, and it just some of these you just can't address. In
I mean,
a way
to
that's
become a
elegant.
good designer, the first question is, well, how does an asshole break this?
Yeah.
And if you can answer that question with like a solid, like I know how to, I can do this, and an asshole can't break it. You got a solid design, like,
Or you're wrong.
or you're wrong. Yeah, exactly. 99% of the time, you think you're right until you hand it over, and you're like, oh god, I was so wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. Yeah, jerks will be jerks. Yeah, pretty much. So I think that's probably going to wrap it up for us, guys. Yeah, a lot of things are just some suggestions and stuff like adding the Necronomicon to the game, things like that. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. But please do check us out over on Discord. Go hang out over there. You can ! Discord to see. I think it provides a link so that you guys can go hang out with us over there. All of us are in there pretty much throughout the day, just hanging out with you guys. And then this Thursday, we've got Tales from the Stream. We'll be playing another horror game. You have to stay tuned to find out what that is. In that stream, it's much more relaxed. We're not kind of going through bulleted lists and discussing that kind of stuff. It's more just, let's just hang out and play video games together. But if you have additional questions that were not answered during this, please feel free to hit us up on all platforms that you use socially. Discord is a great one, though, because you can leave a question there, and then somebody here sees it, and we jump in and can answer it there. Unless Dan has some other suggestion of places.
No, Discord's great. That's what it's there for. You can come in, chat with us while we have some work going on right now with a few games and then events that we're getting ready for.
Yeah.
So we may be out of Discord a little bit more than we're in, but
true.
Mel, Matt, they're usually in there, and they're really good at answering questions.
For sure. Yeah, we're getting preps for PAX East, where we're going out to hang out with Bloober.
Booth 16121.
Good job. Nailed it. Which will be the Layer Sphere 2. We're doing a panel there as well, so it's going to be a fun event. So if there's anyone that we know that if you guys in chat or whatever are going to be hanging out at PAX, come see us at the booth and hang out with us and introduce yourself. But with that, I think we're good. So thanks to you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us today to go over this stuff with the Switch news. It's very likely that in the next, I don't know, 2 weeks or so, give or take, we want to do another show of Beyond. We're going to stream the Switch version of the game.
Yeah, we just have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah,
where all the plugs go.
That's the thing. Yeah, right.
That's Rob's job.
Yeah, Rob can handle that.
Thanks, production Rob.
Yeah, thanks, production Rob. So we'll be streaming so that you guys can see it in action. That'll help a lot, I think, too, with some of the questions that some folks have about, like, how does this really work on the Switch? You'll see it then. But yeah, we'll see you guys, I guess, on Thursday. Hopefully Matt will be back and not under the weather, so that we can play some games and stuff together. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks to Ish. Thanks to Dan.
Get well soon, Matt. I want to give a shout out to my friend, my guy Blue in chat. I see a bunch of people who are saying they're going to go to PAX East. Yes,
Sweet.
Come by and see us.
Please do. And Ish, do you want to shout out? You want to say hi to anybody?
No, I'm all good. Yeah.
And thanks to Rob in the production room for putting all this stuff together for us. So on that note, thanks guys, and we'll see you on Tales from the Stream on Thursday. See you.